Now here's another episode of Business History. Today we'll talk about the Bank of the Philippine Islands or BPI. Now natatandaan nyo ba tong building na to? They demolished that way back in 2018 and now we have an idea kung ano ang magiging itsura ng ipapalit nilang building. Located at the corners of Ayala Avenue, Paseo de Rojas, and De La Rosa Street, this mixed-use property will have a 45-story tower which will house BPI's headquarters and main branch. The building, unfortunately wala pang pangalan na official, will have an energy-saving glass facade. The development has a gross floor area of 89,000 square meters for retail spaces, event venues, landscape areas, and 7 parking levels. So hindi na lang to bastang bangko. It's gonna be a recreational area as well. Total cost of construction is around 13.6 billion pesos and construction is expected to be completed by the fourth quarter of 2029 while the opening is targeted to be in 2030. Nako, matagal-tagal pa to, so abang-abang na lang tayo. But while we're at it, let's go back to the history of this bank. BPI is actually the country's first bank. Born in August 1, 1851, ang tawag pa noon ay El Banco Espanyol Filipino de Isabel II. Antonio de Ayala was among the first inaugural members of the board. It was also the first bank in Southeast Asia, and for this year, it's gonna turn 171 years old. The bank also functioned as the first central bank of the Philippines and published the very first banknotes of the Philippines. Siyempre, gawain ng bangko ang magpautang. Now, among the companies na tinulungan nito ay ang company ni Jacobo Zobel, ang tinatawag na Compañía de los Trevinas de Filipinas, which provided Manila the very first tramway system. Umutang si Mr. Zobel ng 50,000 pesos for that project and of course, pinayagan niya ng bangko. Then, fast forward to 1912, ang BPI doon lang talaga tinawag na Bank of the Philippine Islands from its old name, Banco Espanyol Filipino. Because at this time, the Philippines was under American colonial rule. So eventually, nagkaroon ng maraming transitions and the bank had to go private. Nako, medyo mahaba pa itong history ng BPI pero fast forward tayo to 1969 when Ayala y Compañía or what we know now as Ayala Corporation gained a majority stake of Bank of the Philippine Islands. Now once na-absorb na ng Ayala Group of Companies itong BPI, BPI became the financial flagship of the Ayala Group of Companies. Then fast forward ulit tayo to April 1980 where BPI inaugurated its very first headquarters along Ayala Avenue. You guessed it right, kung saan. And it was also during this decade na nagkaroon ng very first off-site ATM. Yun yung nasa Greenbelt, Makati. And now, let me just give a rundown kung gaano na nga ba kalaki ang BPI. Customer base, 8.5 million, 1,179 branches, over 19,000 employees, total assets amounting to 2.4 trillion pesos, net loans around 1.4 trillion, total deposits 1.9 trillion.